So I was thinking about being a professional and tasks and mailing it in. From time to time, you'll see an athlete that there's no fire in them. You'll notice a stark difference from them when there is something like pride on the line. Like in basketball, you'll see somebody that is they're reputed for being great, and you'll see them toward the end of their career sometimes just mailing it in. And you'll find a handful of athletes that if you watch, say, college sports, they were super focused on trying to get there. And then somewhere along the line, they got there, and then they were like, I'm here. And the thing is that their engagement is reduced because they're not looking at what's that next thing that I'm trying to accomplish? What is that next thing that I want to develop? You'll see this with people in a whole host of professions where what happens is the things that they now regard as tasks used to be something to aspire to do different aspects of their profession. They would aspire to develop this skill. So whether it's getting in front of a group of people and talking, or whether it is organizing something, or whether it is shooting that 3-point shot, or whatever the thing is, it's become a task. And the thing is that they're doing their part physically, but emotionally, they're no longer engaged. They're no longer exerting themselves, and everybody can sense it. You can tell when something is on the line in a professional sport. You can tell when something is on the line. You wind up having these people that show up and they're called like clutch players or, showtime. But until then, they just mail it in. They're waiting for that thing to happen. And this happens to a lot of people outside of sports. They show up, they get the new job. They learn the different skills that they need to have, and those skills turn into tasks. And then because they get comfortable, they no longer are inspired by what it is that they do. They start to mail it in, and they start to just do stuff. And the thing is that if you're in a position where you're leading people, this is horrible for the people around you, because what'll happen is these people that came into the organization thinking, yeah, we're going to go do something cool, we're going to change the world, we're going to, win the title, we're going to do whatever, and they wind up discovering that the guy in charge is kind of okay with losing. He's kind of okay as long as he doesn't get embarrassed. He'll take the L, because then he can go do what he wants to do, which is, screw around or whatever. But to get somebody that is engaged, the only things that I really know to get people really engaged is to find out what it is that they care about. And so sometimes, you'll wind up with people that'll do different kinds of exercises. I've done this, and I have found it to be, to help me to get and stay engaged. A few years ago, I was doing something, and I was reminded of this passage of scripture that said that, Lord, help me to count my days. And I thought, wow, that's an idea. How old do I want to get? And I thought, man, you know what? If I got to be 86, that would be cool. So all right, so I just got horribly interrupted and lost my train of thought. But when it comes to being a pro, you need to be, this is where I think we get tangled up sometimes, is that we're not feeling it, but we know that a pro does it anyway. And then we wind up doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that. And then somewhere along the line, we don't think, can I get my mojo back? Can I get my enthusiasm for this back? And the thing is that we've spent all of this time rehearsing, reciting, and in meditating. When you think about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, you're meditating. And when your meditation is, I just need to get this done, this is what a pro does, this is how this works, you wind up becoming less and less and less enthusiastic. When you, on the other hand, answer the question, who needs me to show up today? What happens if I don't show up? What happens if I get to the end? We've all, had something that we wanted to do, right? We wanted to lose weight. And we're like, tomorrow, next year, I'll get around to it. But the fact is that we've all known fat people that die. You may not get around to it. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have gotten around to it. And the thing is that when we start realizing, hey, you know what? My life actually matters, not just to me, and not just to the fact that I'm going to have to answer up for how I lived, but who is it that's watching you? Who is it that ripple goes out and out and out? Think about your own life. There are people that have touched your life, that modeled overcoming something, that modeled the not just the enthusiasm, but the tenacity to go through a test and a trial, and they did it in a way that was fairly public. And it is those people that you find inspiring. It's the people that you don't know their story that you can't find inspiring. So my point to that is that you need to find a reason for why this matters. Even if that reason is, I don't want to have that regret looking back on my life. I don't want to get to the end and look back and say, why didn't I try harder? I don't want to be one of those guys that lays on their deathbed and looks back and says, I think I could have done more. And all I did was meditate on my excuses, how I was raised, how I didn't get the break. And sometimes the break comes and you've spent so much time meditating on your lack of preparation or how certain people let you down. You spent so much time meditating on that you're not even looking around. Your field of view has become so narrowed down that the opportunity was right over here, should have been in your peripheral vision. But you were focused in on how you got screwed and ripped off and how it isn't your fault. Instead of, it's my responsibility to make sure that what I pass down is better than what I was handed. We're all handed stuff. And it's completely up to us what we pass along. It is like a bucket brigade where you have that 5-gallon bucket of water that you're handed. And what's in it is what's in it. But if you just pass it along and become a non-participant, then then you're part of the problem. It's your job to improve it. I hope that my kids are better parents than me. I hope my kids take what I gave them and say, you know, that it could have been done better, and that they figure out, you know, what goes into that, and they take all of the good stuff and they go, you know, that they understand that I did my best, and that they improve that. I would love for my grandkids to have better parents than my kids did. That would be spectacular. And the only way for them to do that is to be focused on what being a greater parent is, not on how they were raised and how it was done and that sort of thing. So if you want to have that fire, if you want to have that charge, that ignition within you, then you need to figure out where it is that you matter. You need to do something new and challenging so that it's interesting. You need to expand. You need to train other people. You need to engage with other people. If you're not training the next generation, if you can't look and say, hey, you know what, I'm training, I'm intentionally going out of my way to help these other people on their path, then you've turned your life into a collection of tasks. And that will snuff any fire out. Because what you're doing is very, very narrow, affects very few people. And when you throw that rock in the pond, it's just going out just the tiniest bit rather than rippling out. So anyway, those are my thoughts, my points. It is Wednesday. Go get it, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.